courtroom for hearing cases. That's interesting. 201. Audience, hearing, auditorium, recitation hall, courtroom for hearing cases, meaning hearer or listener. A courtroom for hearing cases. And then you've got Omar, meaning to speak or to say. So as an eloquent speaker, eloquent or speaker. The name Omar means eloquent or speaker. So eloquent, speaker, eloquent or speaker. And you've got auditorium, recitation hall, courtroom for hearing cases. Well, that's kind of strange because I found this yesterday. I looked up at it yesterday when I thought, okay, 201 subscriber, Kelly Barr, let's take a look. 201, courtroom for hearing cases, eloquent or speaker. I found that yesterday. And what I get to see in the morning when I wake up, I get to see Voice of Jane making a video about comparison of what he was thinking concerning this passage of scripture, Ezekiel, and how he saw that Kelly Barr seemed to agree with him. What they are trying to do is they are trying to put doubts to prevent us to move. Trying to show that we did not agree.
So you say that the game I'm playing now is to show everybody about how you and Kelly Barr didn't agree on everything, and that somehow all I thought that I needed to do in order to tear your house down was expose it. No, that wasn't it at all. What I was trying to do was, I was trying to point out all of your hypocrisies that you tend to display when it comes to how you judge other people, Jonathan. Like the way you bashed me for using what you call counterfeit Bibles. But then you're going to turn right around and praise Kelly Barr when she pulls out more than one Bible to do comparisons with. I mean, that's what I was trying to do.
She started to look into it, pulling out her Bible with different publication dates, which is also not common because she could not have had physically with her at her own house the mean to see and verify, but she had. Because it was already prepared in advance. How was it that Kelly already had the 1869, 1975, and 2009 Bible?
You tried to eviscerate me because of the other Bibles that I used in order to compare the scriptures to get a better understanding for myself what a verse was talking about. I don't want anybody else trying to force feed me what I'm supposed to be thinking, at least according to them, which turned out to be according to you, Jonathan. You're always trying to bring everybody as low as you can get them by telling them how wrong they are for reading whatever they're reading, or how wrong they are and how evil they are for watching other video channels that don't conform to your standards. I mean, I've watched you literally condemn people for how their physical body looks by calling them pigs and associating them with whatever unclean farm animal that you felt like comparing them to. I even watch you condemn people because of how they sounded when they speak. And that's exactly the strategy that you take, Jonathan, when you don't want to confront the actual words that they're saying. You just keep tearing everything else down that's around them, and you do it long enough to where you don't even have to attack their message anymore. It's just a tactic that I've noticed that you use a lot. I mean, can you honestly recommend me a channel that you would approve of, to where that channel follows closely enough with all your beliefs and doctrines that you would feel comfortable saying that we could follow them? You know, somebody who dresses just right, and if there was any type of memorabilia or awards or whatever hanging on the wall behind them, or sitting there on a shelf, that we can be assured that there's no symbols or pictures that have to do with Scientology, or anything else evil for that matter. And of course, we'd all have to be reassured that they passed the microphone challenge and that they're not passing along signals by using the evil type of microphones. So besides Kelly Barr's channel, because she's already a part of Team Joe, who would you recommend? I mean, there's that Brian Dindelinger fella that you first gave me links to his channel. So would you still promote his channel today?
All right, FAQ number 84. the question comes up, was John the Baptist Elijah? Elijah reincarnated. There are actually people that will try to use this to prove reincarnation, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Or let me ask you this. Would you endorse letting other people hand out Dindelinger's YouTube channel, but then follow it up by saying that Jonathan Nolan completely supports Brian Dindelinger's ministry and message? Would you be able to do that, Jonathan? Or are you the only channel that's out there with the right truth? No exceptions. But with this Ezekiel 28 question that I brought up to Kelly Barr, showing that she did agree with me about what I was saying and showing to her concerning how the New King James Version, they had verse 2 using the lowercase God instead of the uppercase God, like the way we see it in the KJV. But you're making it sound like I had set up some type of a counterfeit Bible trap for Kelly to walk into, all unawares. But I wasn't setting any traps, Jonathan. I was just showing her things that I'd come across in my searches. And I asked her what she thought about it, and she told me. And that's the way a conversation is supposed to work, Jonathan. And that was exactly why I could never really have a conversation with you about any kind of question that I might have had about, anything concerning the Bible. I showed the proof of all the Gmail traffic between you and me at the beginning when I did try to run a few of these questions by you, where you'd either blow me off with a canned KJV only response, and that the answer to my question is that I'm using all the counterfeit Bibles instead of the KJV Bible, or you'd give some type of an answer about how certain synoptic passages were indeed talking about the same event, only the event was taking place at a different time and dimension, and that was why they didn't really read the same way. And then you would just say that I lacked belief. Simple as that. But you know something, Jonathan? When it comes to the scriptures about Daniel 9:25 and the 70-week prophecy and the concern that I was having with it, you did something a little unexpected. You passed everything that I was asking you about Daniel 9:25, and you dumped it all on Kelly Barr's lap to answer. And then you said that she was going to love it.
Give it to Kelly. It's a role to play. This is going to be her fight, and she's going to love it. This is going to be her fight, and she's going to love it.
And I made a video about it, and I put it out on January 28th, 2024, where I showed everybody what my exact thoughts were. It was called Hireling Delegates Kelly to Do His Dirty Work for Him. But at least they agree. Or do they? And as of today, April 8th, 2025, it says that I have a whopping 56 total views with 2 comments. So let's see what the comments were. Okay, there was me, Change of Plans, and there was John Quinton Wise, now is the N431, who replied to my comment. But my comment was directed to something that Mike Guyver had said. And what he had said must have provoked me enough to write out a pretty long response to him, and then I pinned it. But whatever comment that was up there from Mike Guyver, it's now gone, and I know that I didn't delete it. But I'm going to read what it was that I told him, and maybe we'll get a gist of what it was about. Again, this was January 28th, 2024, going on a year and a half ago. It says at Mike Guyver 3193. Open your ears, Mike Guyver, because I'm not condemning the KJV Bible. I'm condemning people like you and Hireling for insisting that the KJV Bible is error-free and infallible even after I clearly show them that they're incorrect for saying that. And let me state for the record here that I, for one, believe that the KJV is one of the most concise and thorough revisions of the Bible, and it's my number 1 go-to book. But it most certainly isn't the only one that I'll go to. When I don't understand something, or if I want to try to get more clarity on a particular passage, I most certainly will use other books that are out there. Why in the world wouldn't somebody use their discernment and read to see what other sources have to say? So when you ask me what version of the Bible that I use instead of the KJV, I'll tell you this. I use every version that I can get my hands on, and then I go from there. And no, I don't use any of the New Age Bibles, because their agendas are too apparent. But I too'd be happy to give every Bible written from the NIV forward to the Amish to use however they see fit, because those so-called Bibles are all hogwash as far as I'm concerned. So Mike Guyver, do you or don't you see the error that I pointed out to Hireling? It's as plain as the nose on Hireling's face, but can you see it? You do know that hireling is the self-proclaimed nose of the body of Christ, don't you? You asked me what my ulterior motive was. I have no ulterior motive, Mike Guyver. Why do I need to have an ulterior motive for pointing out the truth to people that would never even have known that this discrepancy existed? You may say to yourself, like hireling does, that I'm making a big deal over a simple semicolon. Then you will try to reduce my arguments by saying that I'm just grasping at straws. But am I really? Harlan's acting like a liar when he's acting like this question is new to him. And since he doesn't want to be bothered with either me or my petty bullshit questions, he tries to pawn me off onto somebody else instead of putting on his big boy pants and doing it himself. But that's exactly who hireling still is. And that's exactly who hireling was over 3 years ago. I asked him this very same question about Daniel 9 way back then, and asked him why the original 1611 KJV didn't match up with the authorized King James Version, and I received the same treatment back then. I was belittled by Hireland for even attempting to show him, and I was told that I was like a dog returning to his own vomit if I looked at anything other than the KJV. And then I was pawned off again. Only I wasn't pawned off to Kelly that time, but instead Hireling pawned me off to the eternal void, and then he told his friend Samuel that it was just my way of trying to trick people. So you'll have to excuse me, Mike Guyver, if I don't respond to any more of your questions in depth, but my issue is with the hireling and not you. This time he went too far, and he's acting all big and bad and cocky by acting like he was delegating his authority, declaring that it was now Kelly's fight to fight. But he was wrong. It's still his fight, not Kelly's, and he's gonna own up to it.
From everybody that are watching, the Christians are going to look for which prophecy are being fulfilled, and so then they can tell the time. Gene Revel voice asking me, well, what about Daniel 70 week? I want to know why. There is a difference between King James and authorized King James. I have no idea. But what I was led to is to put it in the hands of Daniel. And he was very angry at me for doing it, to put it in his hands, but because my part prophecy was that it would not be me that would solve this, but it would be Daniel. So it's been a long time that I did not see him and I didn't talk to him. But there was a time set that I would put the burden on him. And then there's another time set when he's going to fulfill his role. Daniel is a dreamer of dreams. He's not a false prophet. He's the prophet Daniel. Courtroom for hearing cases. Well, that's kind of strange because I found this yesterday. I looked up at it yesterday when I thought, okay, 201 subscriber, Kelly Barr, let's take a look. 201, courtroom for hearing cases, eloquent or speaker. And what I get to see in the morning when I wake up, I get to see Voice of Jane making a video about comparison of what he was thinking concerning this passage of scripture Ezekiel, and how he saw that Kelly Barr seemed to agree with him.
You say, but what you were led to do was put it into the hands of your new friend who you refer to as the prophet Daniel. And even though Daniel was pissed at you for giving it to him to figure out, because you said that your part in all of this was for Daniel to figure it all out, and that it wasn't for you to figure out, but aren't you leaving out a huge equation of this Daniel 70-week prophecy when you fail to include Kelly Barr as the one you actually handed it off to? It wasn't your friend Daniel. It was Kelly Barr that you pawned it off onto. I mean, I don't get it, Jonathan. Are you trying to remove Kelly Barr from this entire thing by telling everybody that it was your friend Daniel this whole time? And that was actually the second time that I heard you tell everybody that you told Daniel that it was his responsibility to figure it all out and report back on it. And it was also the second time where I didn't hear anything about it being Kelly Barr being the one who it was given to. So that was 2 times that I can show you that you're trying to run cover for Kelly Barr for some reason. You shouldn't do stuff like that, Jonathan. I keep pretty decent records on what's transpired over the past 5 years, and what you're trying to lead people into believing is that Kelly Barr had nothing to do with this. You may not come right out and say those very words, but you don't have to, Jonathan. When you totally exclude her from having anything to do with it, that's all I really need to see. So Kelly had nothing to do with any of this, right, Jonathan? It was all on your other friend, the prophet Daniel that you spoke of. The prophet Daniel that you don't even have a clue as to where he even is today.
It's been a long time that I did not see him and I didn't talk to him. But there was a time set that I would put the burden on him.
Did Kelly ask you to leave her story out of this, or was this all your idea, Jonathan? And what say you, Kelly Barr? Did Jonathan tell you that he was going to replace you in this story? Because I sure didn't see that curveball coming. And it's very devious the way you went about all this too, Jonathan, to now include the prophet that you can't even find, and then tell everybody that the 70-week prophecy was now all his responsibility. And then to ever so subtly not even include Kelly Barr anymore as being the one that you actually put in charge in the first place. Try to see if you can hear the difference between these statements that Jonathan makes. Because in January of 2024, we can plainly hear you say that it was going to be Kelly Barr heading it up, and that she was going to love it.
Give it to Kelly, it's a role to play. This is going to be her fight and she's going to love it.
But then a year later, out of the blue, we hear you saying that it was your friend Daniel that you told to do it, and that he hated it.
Gene Revel voice asking me, well, what about Daniel's 70 week? I want to know why. There is a difference between King James and Authorized King James. I have no idea. But what I was led to is to put it in the hands of Daniel. And he was very angry at me for doing it, to put it in his hands, but because my part prophecy was that it would not be me that would solve this, but it would be Daniel.
So which one was it, Jonathan? And why are you trying to phase Kelly out of this whole thing? Should she be?
They choose for the numbers attributed to every houses. Now they decided Kelly Barr, her house would be attributed to court case, and then Voice of Gene showing in his latest comparison over something that would be part of a court case regarding, is it a God with a mistake over the King James, or is it a God not a mistake over the capital letter, because that's the way for Jesus Christ to say that there is only one God and there is none beside him. So they are trying to turn us against one another. Gene Revel voice asking me, well, what about Daniel's 70 week? I want to know why. There is a difference between King James and Authorized King James. I have no idea. But what I was led to is to put it in the hands of Daniel. I myself, I said to Kelly, it's not my Bible, it's not my Bible, it's not my fight, it's your fight to fight, it's your battle, I can recognize it's not my battle. And he was very angry at me for doing it, to put it in his hands, but because my part prophecy was that it would not be me that would solve this, but it would be Daniel. It's not my fight, it's your fight to fight, it's your battle, I can recognize it's not my battle. And so she had the Bible publication year, and I didn't. And automatically, before even going to try to look into it, give it to Kelly, it's a role to play. This is going to be her fight, and she's going to love it. Give it to Kelly, it's a role to play. This is going to be her fight, and she's going to love it. Because this is a direct response back to looking back at the old messages, conversation from before, and trying to prove, see, that's how they were before, and see how they are now. So who's the hypocrite? But what I was led to is to put it in the hands of Daniel. And he was very angry at me for doing it, to put it in his hands, but because my part prophecy was that it was not it would not be me that would solve this, but it would be Daniel. That's what they are trying to do there. Okay, this is the card they play. They say, look, how is it that it's like this today? It was like this before. And then we answer the same way. Well, how is it that you were like this before and now you're like this right now? Who's the hypocrite? Who's the hypocrite? It's not my fight. It's your fight to fight. It's your battle. I can recognize it's not my battle. Give it to Kelly. It's a role to play. This is going to be her fight, and she's going to love it. So I'm going to wait to see after this response what they're going to do with it.